The Philistine army gathered on one side of the valley, their banners waving fiercely under the hot sun. On the opposite hill, the Israelite soldiers stood uneasy, their armor glinting but their spirits weighed down by fear. Every morning and evening, Goliath, a giant clad in heavy bronze, marched forward and roared his challenge across the valley. His voice echoed like thunder, daring any Israelite to come down and fight him one-on-one. But no man dared to answer. Goliath's towering frame and brutal strength terrified even the bravest. Among the Israelites was a young shepherd named David, sent by his father to bring food to his older brothers. David had bright, determined eyes and a heart full of faith, even though he was much smaller than the seasoned warriors. When David arrived, he heard Goliath's challenge and saw the fear gripping the soldiers around him. "Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God?" David asked indignantly. His brother scolded him, telling him to mind his sheep and stop speaking nonsense. David went to King Saul and declared boldly, "Let no one lose heart, I will fight this Philistine." King Saul looked at the boy and shook his head, doubting, "You are only a youth, and he has been a warrior since his youth." David recounted how he had killed lions and bears while protecting his father's sheep, trusting in God each time. Impressed by his courage, Saul agreed and offered David his own armor. David tried it on, but found it too heavy and cumbersome, so he took it off. Instead, David chose 5 smooth stones from a nearby brook and placed them carefully in his shepherd's pouch. With only his sling in hand and trust in his heart, David walked toward the valley where Goliath waited. Seeing the boy approach, Goliath laughed, his voice booming across the field. "Am I a dog that you come at me with sticks?" Goliath mocked, raising his massive spear. David replied fearlessly, "You come against me with sword and spear, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty." The Philistine army jeered and shouted, sure of Goliath's inevitable victory. But David did not hesitate. He ran toward Goliath, pulling a stone from his pouch as he moved. He placed the stone in his sling and, with practiced precision, hurled it through the air. The stone struck Goliath squarely on the forehead, sinking deep into his skull. The giant staggered, his great body swaying like a falling tree. With a crash that shook the ground, Goliath fell face down onto the battlefield. Silence fell over both armies as they watched, stunned, the mighty warrior defeated by a shepherd boy. David ran forward, stood over Goliath, and drew the giant's own sword from its scabbard. With one clean stroke, he ended Goliath's life, ensuring the victory for Israel. The Philistines, seeing their champion fallen, broke into a panicked retreat. The Israelites gave a great shout and pursued them, gaining a miraculous and complete victory. King Saul summoned David, his heart full of awe and questions about the boy's lineage. David stood before the king, humble yet confident, giving all glory to God. From that day forward, David's name was spoken with honor throughout all Israel. He returned to his flocks for a time, but destiny was already calling him to greater things. The people remembered the day when a boy's faith had toppled a giant. They spoke of it by campfires, in marketplaces, and in the courts of kings. It became a story not of strength, but of trust in something far greater than mere weapons. Generations later, the name of David would be known not just as a warrior, but as a king after God's own heart. And it all began with a stone, a sling, and an unshakable faith.